Hi, everybody. Welcome to Literary Tuesdays. I'm your host, Melon Alexander. I'm a publisher and the founder of Destined to Publish. Destined to Publish is a Christian-based, independent, hybrid publishing company with a focus on literary coaching. With almost 20 years in the publishing industry, soon we will celebrate the milestone of having published our 400th author, and our authors are both nationally and abroad. Our goal is to take each and every one of our authors by the hand and walk them step by step on their publishing journey. Because I believe more than anything else that just because you're self-publishing does not mean you have to publish by yourself. It is Tuesday, February 1st, and it is the start of Black History Month. But believe you me, Black history is American history, and it should be celebrated 365 days a year. But during the month of February, Literary Tuesday is going to focus on and reshare some of the broadcasts that specifically have to do with history and heritage. And that begins tonight with my conversation with our guest author, who is Catharine Ingram. And her book is a wonderful addition for your children's library, for your school library. It's called It's in You. The World is Waiting. So let's take a listen to our conversation. Hi, Miss Catharine.
Hi, how you doing, Marilyn? Good to see you.
I am well. It's so good to see you too. Thank you for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for inviting me.
This is going to be phenomenal. I am so excited. Because this is the beginning of Heritage Month. Yes. And in discussing your phenomenal book, I just want, before we go there, I want you to kind of tell our audience about Catharine Ingram.
Okay. Well, I'm a baby boomer. I'm born in the South, in the Jim Crow area. And I think that has a lot to do with my writing. 8 brothers and 1 sister, large family. Actually, I grew up on a plantation. A lot of people look at plantation as being a bad thing, but it afforded my parents to save their money and have a house built from the ground. So I thank God for just my upbringing. You know, born in Jim Crow, naturally on a farm, I ended up going to the field. But I think all that made me the woman who I am. So I have no regrets in my past. I always tell people about my past because my past helped shape my future.
Absolutely. And I won't even bother to say, but that's a story in and of itself. So
yes, it is.
To write that story as well. And you are absolutely right. Your heritage and your upbringing literally comes through in this book, It's in You. So let's get into It's in You. So tell us about the book. Give us a brief synopsis about It's in You.
Okay. The book was actually birthed out of just seeing what is going on in the world and seeing how so many young people don't seem to believe in themselves. You know, I've heard young people say that the Asians are the smartest kids in the school. You know, they're the one that make the A's. And it grieves my spirit because God doesn't make one group of people less than the other, you know. So if the Asian kids are getting better grades, could it be because they're spending more time in the books while you on your phone and twerking and whatever else doing, you know? So that's what really made me want to write the book. And I understand that because in school, our kids are not taught their history. You know, I think that's one of the reasons you see a little bit in this book. That's one of the reasons why I think Jewish people do so well. Most of the millionaires and billionaires are Jewish background because they know their history. They can trace their history all the way back to biblical time, when most of us can go 2 or 3 generations at most. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to just give them a little tip of the iceberg of what's in us. You know, civilization we know began in the African river because the Bible tells us around the Euphrates. But not just that, I wanted them to know that if our forefather did so much great works and they was even denied the right to read and write, how much more we can do in 2022? We literally can get an education on our phone. You know, we can learn how to do anything from making an apple pie to an atom bomb on our phone. So we're without excuse. So that would prompt me to write this book.
I am so glad that you said that. And like I said, I went back before this interview and I had an opportunity to reread even just the first chapter. There's so much in just the first chapter. I enjoyed the way that you set it up. Like you took your time to really set a stage and walk your readers through the scenario. And I won't give away too much, but from even the grandmother coming to the house and then, you know, her observing different things and, you know, doing what my grandmother used to do. So I love the way that it is like a wonderful mix of old school wisdom and new school parenting. So can you talk about that just for a little bit? I know you hit on it with the phones and everything like that. And I love the fact that it kind of talks about that in story that the son is constantly on his phone. So I won't say too much because I want you to talk about it. So talk to us about the background of it.
I understand a lot of young moms and dads, a lot of time they giving their kids what they didn't have. And I understand that. You want them to have the best. But sometimes we give them so much stuff and we try to give them the right stuff that they really need, you know. Discipline. I mean, you know, you can't have love without discipline, you know. We don't want, we say to men, I'm not going to make my child go to church because I did. I'm not going to spank my child, you know, because I was spanked. But discipline is needed. Discipline is love. You can't let a flower grow and blossom and be the flower that you have it be in your flower yard with just weeds all around it if you don't prune it everything. So I think a lot of young parents make that mistake. Too many young parents want to be their children's friend. The kids have enough friends already. God has called you to be a mom, and you be a mom. I tell anybody, when my kids were growing up, I know my son especially, probably thought I was the first mom on the south side of Chicago. But I had a job to do, you know, and I thank God he allowed me to do that job. And I think I did it pretty good, you know, it's God, because my kids are both doing well, you know. But I wasn't trying to be their friend, you know. I had no problem. They weren't allowed to just bring anything in the home, you know, just without me asking where it's coming from, you know, is it paid for? So I just think that we need to go back. And I think grandmoms need to step up to the plate, especially because so many moms are young and well, we were inexperienced too, but our grandparents gave us a lot more time of themselves. They sat around and talked to us and taught us. Whereas now, a lot of time, the young parents, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them just stick the kids in front of the TV, and as long as you don't bother me, you're good. And I think we're missing out on that. I think we're missing out on sitting around the dinner table. I think we're missing out on parents telling the kids at home, and you go to school, you act up, I will come to that school. Now the parents are saying, if your teacher say something to you, call me. I'll come to that school. So I think we need to get back to the basics. It was good then, and it's still good in 2022.
It's still good. And I love the fact that so much that you just said. So 2 points that I wanted to bring out, even when you're talking about the conversation. And I'm still in the first chapter, like we haven't gotten into the actual book there. But I love the fact that, you know, the grandmother, well, first of all, let me just say, you're absolutely right. In our heritage, we had big mama, we had grandmamas, and they were so involved in our lives. You know, they were the staple that was, you know, that was constant in our lives. And you're absolutely right. The conversations around the dinner table, and even in this book, the fact that, you know, he loves his grandmother's cookies, and, you know, the book even opens up with her going to the store to be able to make dinner. So even all of that time is really has gotten away from us because we're really too busy to do that. And so that was one point, and you can elaborate, but let me get all three and then we can talk about it. The second point is I love the fact, even in the book, I think the grandson said something about his mom wants him to look cool, and then the grandmama said, yeah, well, cool and dumb. So, you know, it's even to that extent that it's that real hard love. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't said in malice. It wasn't said for him to be embarrassed. But the grandchild, he knew his grandma loved him, and he didn't take offense to that. And that's a lot of times, even, you know, in our conversations, you know, it's hard. I think parents think that it's hard to have tough love, but really that's what our kids need. We come back, like you're saying, to the basis of that. And the last thing that I wanted to say was, oh my goodness. Okay. Nope. So I'll let you expound on that while I think about my third.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about that tough love. A child can take it when you go with them hard if you've gone with them before in the love and the soft part.
Yes.
I tell my granddaughter, I come down hard on my granddaughter in a minute. But before I come down hard on her about something silly, I've already covered her and just given her love and gone out the way to do stuff to make her happy and have her cook and fix her favorite foods and tell her how great she is and she can do anything. But when I have to correct her, I have no hesitation.
Yeah.
Just as I lavish you with love, I will lavish you with discipline as well. Yeah. So the kids can take that. See, if you give it, and Paul is a good example in the Bible how he did things. He didn't mind cutting the people down the side when they need to be rebuked or whatever. But before if I'm right here and you cut me down, I'm on the ground. But if you've already elevated me up here, when you cut me down, I'm still right here.
Yes.
So a child can take you, discipline them if they know you already showed them 10 times as much love already. You've done the special thing to make them happy. You've given them the hugs and love. You've taken them to the zoo. You take them to Kittyland or wherever you've gone. And then you have to discipline them. They know that just goes with the territory.
It goes with the territory. I love that. And that is, again, that old school wisdom that needs to be imparted in new school moms, just so that we can know, working isn't everything. And I am 100% guilty in terms of learning how to balance all of the things that I'm doing now with my business and with everything else. And then understanding that my family and my children come first. So even all of that it's a juggle, but it's doable. Just like, our grandparents did it back then and they worked hard. And talk about also, I love the fact that you even brought in, like you said, your history. And you talk about how Big Mama, her name was Grandma B. She talked about her aspirations, wanting to be a nurse, but then not being able to be a nurse, and then having to actually be to clean houses. And I don't think there's enough of that either for our kids to kind of understand where our grandparents came from. Why was it important for you to even add something like that into the book?
It's really important because kids nowadays have all kinds of opportunities. And I guess one reason why I add is because I've heard people say, I would not work at McDonald's. I would not work less than this amount per hour and stuff. I'm from Mississippi. As I said before, I chopped cotton from 6 to 6 and made $4 a day.
Wow. In
the mid-60s. $4 a day in the mid-60s. Yeah. But you know what? That was good. I did it. That's all I had to work with, and I worked with it. But God saw fit to bless me when I came to the city of Chicago, was able to work at the post office and made a great living. But if you do nothing, then he'll give you later. But you can't despise your small beginning. You got to start somewhere. One thing my parents told us growing up is, as long as you got an honest living, don't let nobody make you feel bad about it. I'd rather work and do something honorable. I make $4 a day than either trying to do something illegal and making $1,000 a day. So as long as it's an honest living, I can hold my head up and keep it on moving,
Absolutely. And so now that we are coming into the crust of the book, we talked about the introduction. The next stories talk about what's in you. So I'm going to let you kind of open and unfold the rest of the book. I don't want to give anything away. I think this is a book that every student should have, that every parent should have a child. I love the book because it is written in a way that they can understand it in conversational tone, but the crust of the book is exactly what the title is, meaning it's in you.
I wanted to do it in a humorous way, and I wanted to do it not in myself. I love Gone with the Wind, 1,400 pages. But the average child nowadays is not going to waste. You can just forget about it. If they see a big book, thumbs down. But that being said, I wanted kids to know that greatness is truly, it's not just a saying. Greatness is really in us.
It's in you.
So I grew up, I won't say you much younger than me. I grew up doing when people that I saw on the TV that looked like me was either in Africa with a line coming around their little waist, nude. They was a maid, a butler, a chauffeur, some slave or something, So in school, I wasn't allowed, the teachers weren't allowed to teach me Black history. But fortunately for me, I had one teacher who slipped and taught Black history under the guise of ancient history. And her name was Miss Barnett, and I love her. I think of because she really, when I found out Cleopatra was Black, oh man, talking about walked up right. You couldn't tell me nothing then. Cleopatra, all I remember saying was Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra. Yes. But when and then they gave me a taste to start digging. And of course, our library at one time was only for white. Books we had in school was second and third hand books. Some of the pages tore out the back, writing all inside of. We had what the white kids threw away in the garbage. We had those books, So I guess you could say, well, you know what? I wouldn't say I had a poor education because I think I had an education. And thanks in part to my love for reading. And what my parents did was, when I was about seventh grade, they bought us encyclopedia. Now, in those days, those encyclopedias cost a couple $100.
Yes.
That's just going to show you how much my mom and dad value education. And when I have anything to do, I start at A and read all the way to Z in encyclopedia. Just read. I just love to read. But I think one of the things that really saddens me is that our kids, for the most part, don't know their history.
Yes.
Okay, we hear about Martin Luther King. We hear about Rosa Parks every February. But I bet if you ask a lot of kids 9 and 10 years old, even some high school kids, who was Dr. Martin Luther King? The only thing they say is he had a dream.
Yeah.
If you ask them who Thurgood Marshall was or Shirley Chisholm, they would have to pull out their phone. They don't know the history.
Right.
And like I said before, not want to be redundant, but like I said before, I think that's why Jewish people thrive. Yes. Because they know their history.
And they value it.
And exactly. And I think about the Bible when you're looking about the 3 Hebrew boys, what they used to do and I know it's not a religious book about the Bible, but it teaches a great lesson.
Yes.
When they took the Hebrew boys from the Israelite people, what they did was they gave them a new name.
Yes.
Isn't that the same thing we saw in the movie Roots?
Yes.
They gave him a new name. They took his name from it. They separate you from your heritage.
Yes.
They give you a new name, a new culture, and everything, and they try to wipe out your past.
Yes.
If you wipe out your past, you can mold and make them into the people you want to be. And unfortunately, they mold and made them into slaves. We did not come to America as slaves.
No.
We became an enslaved people.
Yes.
But we came as doctors. We came as musicians. We came as carpenters. We came as artists. Anything that the world had to offer as African, we had it.
Yes.
So we were not. A lot of times people think that we came as slaves. No.
No.
We did not come as slaves.
No, they didn't take slaves.
We came as enslaved people.
Yes.
So I always think about this. If people like Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, all of those people on the book saying, don't teach them to write. It's against the law to teach them to write. But they walk miles and miles every day to and from to get an education. They believed in an education. And they did great things. And now our kids have an education in their phone. They can get a college degree. I hate to hear a child say, well, don't ever hear a child say, my teacher didn't teach me that. I don't care what your teacher is not teaching you. You can learn an excuse. I learned the basic at the Y, but the Park District, but I really learned how to swim on the phone. Looking at YouTube video. I'm taking Spanish on the phone. Yeah. So you can learn anything from an apple pie to an atom bomb on your phone.
On your phone.
So our kids are not without excuse.
No excuse.
What your parents need to do, buy your child a $200 phone. Make sure it uses something good before they start playing with it.
Absolutely. I concur. This is going to be such we can talk for an hour. So we're going to get into just another question. Let me just ask you, what was the most surprising thing that you learned in the process of writing your book?
Well, I guess information-wise.
In general, what do you think would be the most surprising thing that you learned?
Well, I knew how Jim Crow and I knew how a lot of laws were designed to keep us from thriving and excelling. But I think what really shocked me the most was how the GI Bill was designed to keep people from really coming back and doing what they were able to do. Public housing. I learned so much about public housing and how it a lot of time the other people lived in the public housing and then they paid X amount of dollars and then they started building them subsidized housing in the suburbs and they actually paid less for their home with the 2-car garage and the picket fence than we were paying in the project. So I found a lot of what really grieved my spirit even more so, and I knew a lot already, was just how on the books laws were passed just to keep us down. Yeah. But you know what? Even in doing that, I think we still, because we have the phones in our hand, we still can rise above that. We still can. If they kept the people in the 1800s, tried to keep them down from learning how to read and write, but they slip out, they snuck out, they did all they can to slip and learn how to read. How much more so we can do? We can some of the things that look like can defeat us, we can rise over that. Absolutely. If we have a mindset. So I wanted people to read this book, and I want them to know. I want parents to read it, and I'm grateful that a lot of parents have read the book to their children. Yes. Because I want, after the kids read the book, I want the parents to talk to them about the book.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. There has to be a healthy, a healthy discussion. We are the most resilient people, most resilient people on the face of this earth, and everything that has been put to us to put us down, we still rise. Yes, we rise and still we rise. So I love that this is a book. It's in us is a book that, like you said, is not just for the child. It is for the parent. It is for the school. It is to start the conversation about what is in you. And more books like this need to be written. More books like this need to be highlighted. And I know that this book has had a lot of success. So talk to us about the success of It's in You.
Well, thank you. It really has had some great success, and I'm right now. I'm working with some things, and I wish I had more to tell you about that. But maybe we'll talk about that a little later. That's some in the work right now that I'm working on, and hopefully by some I know how it's going. But I think more than anything, the ones who have, especially with kids in the 5th and 6th and 7th grades. My daughter's a school teacher, and a lot of her teacher friends and a lot of principals and assistant principals I don't know any, I really can't say any ministers that have actually read the books, but I know quite a few teachers and principals have read it. And I wish I can get more ministers to read it also, because there is a connection, just as it connected to how the Jews was separated from their heritage and their family and take them to a foreign land. That mimicked what they did to us, bringing us to America. So I wish I could get more pastors to read it. But I've had great success. But more than anything, when a person can call me and they know my book better than I know my book, job well done. I just say, Cat, if they can tell me stuff in my book and I'm saying, oh, okay, I forgot about that, then I feel good. I feel good. So I've gotten some great success. So I'm pleased with where it's going. And I know God is not through with it yet, because I know God gave it to me for this season. Yes. When I pick up the newspaper and I see what's happened to us as the people in our neighborhood, my spirit is grieved. And I think if we only knew what is in us, if we only knew, we don't have to live down there. We don't have to. We don't have to steal and take what belongs to other people. We can do the right thing. And I think what really got me there, one thing that I learned about 10 years ago, when I read about George Washington Carver, and he simply asked God, why did you make peanuts and sweet potatoes? We have not because we ask not.
We don't ask.
All the inventions have not been made. I don't care how much technology we have. There's new inventions yet to be made. Yes. If we would just only do what we need to do, study, do what we need to do, and just ask God, give it to me. He wants to give it to us.
He will. Yes.
He's no respecter of person.
Yes. I love it. And I love that this book is a legacy from the past. It bridges to the future or to the present, and then it is a bridge now to the future. and that it brings all generations together. Before we finish, can you tell us just a few of the people that you highlight in the book?
Okay. Of course, Harriet Tubman, one of my favorite. George Washington Carver and Booker T. Washington. John Box Brown is my favorite. I was fortunate enough to get a chance to play him at one of our family reunions, and it's actually that's a whole book in itself. I hid in this box in this restaurant, and nobody noticed when I got in the box, and I came out. They thought a homeless person had broken into the place. But I got everybody attention, and then I went to tell the story how he literally paid somebody to ship him in a box to a free state. The box was turned upside down where his eyes feel like they was coming out of his head. You know, he was on a horse, he was on a wagon and on the ferry, but yet and still, I think he paid $80-some to be shipped. He wanted freedom just that bad.
Yes.
Just that bad. Yes. And you know what? As long as we don't know who we are, we really don't have freedom.
Yeah.
We really don't have freedom. We really need to know who we are. I think when you know who you are, you walk different. You act different.
Yes.
You don't act like you less than. You don't carry yourself like you have a better respect for yourself, and you carry yourself in a different way. And when you respect yourself, others respect you also.
Absolutely.
But if you act like you have no respect for yourself, then others are going to treat you like they have no respect either. So it's just of course we know Harriet Tubman's story. And what's so fascinating about Harriet Tubman was what she did and how she went time after time to help free people, and knowing that any time by her getting hit on her head with that iron piece, at any time she could just fall down and be out for a period of time, and may wake up with a noose around her neck. But yet and still she trusts God and kept on doing it. What is that telling us? Just keep on. Just something just got to be in, and just don't. You got to have I won't give up spirit.
Yes, you know? I can do it. Yes,
I can do it.
A stick-to-itiveness. I think that's what my grandma used to call
it. Exactly.
I love this. I am so excited for people to be able to read It's in You. Greatness, it's in you. And I'm also excited, and I'm speaking to you, even in Heritage Month, that I am excited to hear your story, because there are so many things that you've lived through that conversation needs to come forward too. I'm excited about that as well. If you had to say something to our viewing, listening audience about them understanding how to leave their legacy to the future generation or to the current generation in terms of publishing, what would you say?
You know what? I said just start. First of all, start sharing your story with your children, your grandkids. When you're at the family reunion, when you're sitting around the table, tell them some of the things that you went through. Just show them it hasn't always been easy, but yet and still you persevered. So let them know that you can persevere. What looked like it may be hard today, you look back over and you like some of the things that, I look in the past, I have no regrets. At the time it seemed like it was hard being out there in the sun and stuff. But I look back now and it wasn't all that bad, because actually I when I was out there in the fields, I was laughing and talking and doing your mama jokes with my classmates and stuff. So it wasn't that bad. But what I would tell people right now is share your testimony.
Share your story.
Everybody got a story.
Yes.
There's some stories much greater than mine. There's some stories much greater than Dr. Martin Luther King. I've heard people tell stories that, wow, you're like, wow, they was doing stuff before Rosa Parks, they just didn't get out there. Yeah. So I would say share, but I would also encourage people to just start writing. Some people say, I got a story I want to write, but I don't know where to start. And that's why I thank you, Marilyn. I didn't know you before I got ready to do my book. Actually, I reached out to a young lady at my church, Sabrina Williams.
Yes.
And she told me about you.
Yes.
And I didn't know you, and I pondered whether or not I should go with you or go with one of my former publishers. And it's just in my spirit to just go with you. And boy, am I glad I did. You were so patient. And I don't know how many times I kept sending something back to you to be corrected, and you never felt like, oh, here she go again.
No.
You just was patient, and you was thorough, and I'm just so appreciative of you and working with you. And I do have something coming up in maybe a year or so, and I definitely consider going back and working with you again.
Well, I am so excited. I am ready to hear the other story. And I am excited to tell our audience that it's in you. Greatness is available on Amazon.com. So don't wait another minute. Grandchildren, children, schools, teachers, pastors, leaders. This is a book that everybody needs to read. And I am excited that we had the opportunity to walk with you, Ms. Catharine, through this journey. And thank you for being here with us today. And for those of you who are interested in writing your book, it is not too late. We're at the beginning of 2022, and the story that you have to tell can be told this year. So go over to our website, www.destinedtopublish.com, and click on that Let's Talk link and join our March cohort. It's in you, and it is ready to come out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Marilyn.
All right.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.